What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video we are going to be doing a scenario in which China and North Korea invade South Korea. So with the surprise attack, we have the defense pact between these three nations being immediately activated. As war strikes, these nations automatically join the war due to a defense pact. Some nations that will also join the war, which will be close allies of the two teams, so we'd have Canada and parts of NATO join against the People's Republic of China, which will be a significant advantage in the European theater because we will have people joining the war on the opposite side that I support, of course, in Europe. So we'll have the main allies join right now. The main NATO members that should join. And so with them joining, we also will have Bosnia and Benelux region, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Croatia, just most of NATO in general, and NATO partners join. So this gives an automatic significant advantage. The only other major NATO members that do not join are Norway and Spain, excluding Denmark. They are not very major. And someone that we also have joining is Brazil on our side. The only Chinese allies I can really think of are Pakistan, Mongolia, Laos, Cambodia. Venezuela would probably join, even though they're not in a they don't have formal diplomatic ties with China, although Peru does. Cuba would join due to them being the socialistic. Is that even a word? Just socialist. And then we'll have, this might be very similar to my World War III scenario video, so if it is, I apologize. And with that, we also have some of the old Chinese, or not Chinese, Japanese empires joining. I'm not, Vietnam, I'm pretty sure they maintain close, like, they don't hate the United States, but they don't really like China anymore. So I say that they would join. We got the Philippines joining. We have Australia due to Kansas Union, which would be a pretty good advantage with the blue team, because even if they get kicked out, it's hard to take over Australia because all this is desert. And that's the only part that is really necessary to invade the coastline. You'd have most of Central Asia joining, or all of Central Asia joining. Armenia would join due to an alliance between Turkey and Azerbaijan. They would join, and then Ukraine would join due to them being a NATO partner. And with Ukraine joining, we know who's at war with Ukraine. So Russia joins the war, making us, and Belarus and Serbia. And then, so that makes that's a kind of silly mistake by the Russians, because technically when they join the war, they're also declaring on all these nations. And so with that declaration of war, we have Denmark and Norway getting involved, and Ireland, since they maintain close diplomatic ties with the United States. Greenland, I'm not sure if everyone knows this, so I'm just going to spit it out right now. Greenland is a territory of Denmark, so they will be included in as Denmark and not an independent nation. So we're just going to highlight the occupied areas of Ukraine that I know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but these are the areas that I know are currently under Russian occupation. This is Kharkiv, which I'm pretty sure is still under battle, under siege. So so the first advancement in the war would be a advance into Serbia holds out as a defensive line on their border because they're going to wait until Russian troops go over. But over here, the North Koreans and Chinese who have been preparing steamroll out. They encircle at Busan, but eventually push out. Some Russian troops in the east, Siberian forces, and in the northern island, they make contact with a pretty large city. They deported from the small port in Sakhalin, and they pushed all the way out. American troops start going on the move towards Asia and Europe. They make a landing on Japanese soil, but ultimately the fifth strongest power, military power, pushes out and recaptures their main island. They ultimately are able to land on Sakhalin due to, we already know what's happening. They're still losing to Ukraine. So, over in the east, with Belarus officially joining, their army comes in. It helps a little bit. Down in the south, we have a push from Armenia and Iran, those places. They do guarantee the independence of South Ossetia and Abkhazia. My pronunciation right now, though. Alright, so this part is going to be kind of similar. They invade Kuwait, and then through Kuwait they push down, take Ramyad. After taking Ramyad, they push back up and do a little bit of encircling. But eventually the military base right there, that is American, they eventually are able to thin the advance intensely. This is the Saudi Arabian military over here. This is the American military. Eventually split up, and these troops evacuate out here into the ocean. When they land in Egypt, Egypt believes that's a declaration of war. Israel takes this chance to avoid war. Same with Jordan and Lebanon, and join Egypt. Oman and the UAE join. Qatar will join the war, as well as Palestine, because Qatar is a Chinese ally. But with the joining of them, over here, American troops do make it into here. They land at Busan. They're going for mainly a route that they did in the Korean War. So they land at Busan and land at Incheon near Seoul. Push around, take Seoul. They meet up there. They encircle the southeast coast. Chinese troops withdraw from North Korea and South Korea, causing a pretty fast steamroll of North Korea. But then as they see that North Korea needs help, they stop towards the border. North Korea will never surrender. Kim Jong-un flees to Beijing, and other North Korean officials flee to Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou. Then a Chinese first of all, the Russians make some more progress in Ukraine in the coming months. They invade Moldova to get a secure area. They push around the Baltic Sea, or not both. I think the Black Sea, and then their men would start an invasion, as well as the Cambodians of Vietnam. As us Americans know, Vietnam, whew, you'll be scared when the trees start speaking Vietnamese. Let's just say that for now. But then, as we're going, the trees speak Vietnamese, and then the Chinese are like, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right. And then the Chinese get all the way pushed back. They get pushed back all the way. They get pushed back right out of there. And then in a surprising turn of events, we have them leading up to Beijing. Back to what I was saying. Vietnam compared to China, they get pummeled, but we got a lot of guerrilla warfare over here in Taiwan. Good old Taiwan. Oh, by the way, they land there for some reason. And then they move south, take Taipei, land it here, and then they liberate. I just gained like 49 social credit points. And then we take over that because trade off right here. The United States speaking. I'll give you oil, you give me your nation. Anyway, yes, an America just made an American Patrick, deal with it. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, but over here we got a large, it's not the largest, but it's a pretty large scale operation from Brazil. They push out here and do that, and then up in Venezuela, they push out, and then they take over a large majority of the coast as the Venezuelan government flees to Havana. When the United States lands in Cuba and splits up it all, the final battle in Cuba, the Battle of Havana, ends in an American victory. However, the Venezuelan and Cuban government are not captured as they flee to the Mexico City International Airport. They land in Yemen for a refueling. Then they land in Karachi. Then they go up landing Kabul. I forgot the name of it. Then Tashkent. Then Astana. Then they move over and go to Ulaanbaatar. And then they move down towards Beijing to have settlement there. Eventually, a landing in Russia happens, which marks a significant turning the tide in the Eastern Front, because the Chinese had a plan. When they would land, they would immediately spike through there, capture Sakhalin, land there, and encircle all the troops, which they do so successfully in the matter of some months. Then they form a defensive line there. In guerrilla warfare, they will pull out some of the troops, land in the Philippines. They would make multiple landings. An accidental bombing over Jakarta happens when they thought it was Sydney, Australia, which sparks the entering of the Indonesian state. Which then makes this island technically contested, but Papua New Guinea just decides to join the war. Down here in the Philippines, American troops arrive from Japan in Manila, pushing back the Chinese divisions swiftly in the region, and they land in Vietnam liberate from the trees. They liberate that area. But in Europe, we have an advance in the very cold areas of Siberia down into Norway, which causes a withdrawal of troops from here and here, which causes the collapse of these two nations. Eventually, when they get all around Serbia, Serbia's military withdraws from the defensive line, and then they start sweeping through. But that shows to be a bad answer, because after military reorganization is set, the militaries of the combined militaries of NATO start to pummel back the divisions. They take Norwegian divisions and Estonian divisions, recapture that area. Down here we have a Cambodian and Lao invasion. Then they start going up the coast. When they meet it to Shanghai, they meet harsh defenses, but eventually they are able to capture the city in a long, hard battle. The conquest of Beijing. The first battle of Beijing starts when Chinese gather many divisions, and then they encircle the Beijing metropolitan area once again and take it over. But that's not to say that the United States didn't have a backup plan, because they landed back in Sakhalin, back there, but this time they reinforced the border wall, and then they met up with there. They swiftly did a turnaround there. As the Chinese saw this, they rerouted this small amount of troops push up. They thought that that was the main army, pushed towards it, but then another army joined together. Not only did they defeat the Chinese forces, the Northerns also took over the port of Beijing. This part would be impossible to invade, but let's just say that they captured it for the sake of this video. I noticed that mapping is a trending topic lately, so I decided I would do a video of it today to see if I could try and grow my channel so I can have a bigger audience for y'all to engage with me and other things. Then we have the push up to Ulaanbaatar, and then this is called the Great Journey, and this is also when the Chinese People's Republic of China surrenders to the enemy forces, and then a large amount of divisions here. They just sweep through the eastern lands. Eventually, when they reach Kazakhstan, they even start to threaten Tehran. And then they eventually encircle the Tehran area. They push up from the Caucasus. Eventually, they make a large strike. They pull out, but then, but eventually, a lot of the land here gets liberated with the pulled out troops, but then it doesn't go for much longer. They start pushing out. Kazakhstan vows to never surrender. Meanwhile, Russia also vows out. But eventually a new, but Russia falls faster, and then they encircle Astana. The last battle of the war, I think the Battle of Astana, or the last major battle of the war. The last battle of the war, which occurs after the signing of the peace treaty, is actually a battle, a jungle battle in Vietnam, where Chinese divisions still stationed in Ho Chi Minh City fire upon Vietnamese natives, and then they capture it. But actually, that wasn't the final battle, because we haven't been looking at South America. We got Peru still holding on. And then American troops arrive back down here. And The last battle was the battle of, let's just call it the Battle of Peruvian Secession. Now I will drop a peace treaty. What's up, guys? We are back here, and we have just drawn up a peace treaty, guys. So the first thing that we see is a weakening of Russia. We got some weird border gore up here with Norway. They requested this, not me. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. What was that? I requested this? No, I didn't. This is my video, Agent. No, it's not. It's Russian. Wait, no, it's not Russian. Hold up. Wait a minute. Shut the. Bye. Okay, anyway, so basically, what did I just do? Anyway, what? Well, we have Ukraine taking this part of the Black Sea area and Crimea back. If you recognize Crimea as independent. We have Serbia getting reduced to this. We have Bosnia getting land. Speaking of Bosnia, we also have them, having a little bit of something called Republic of Srpska Independence. So yeah, we have Srpska becoming independent, and we have Montenegro joining Serbia after the war due to a crippled economy in Serbia, but they also give Montenegro the rights to rule. We have Macedonia, Bulgaria, and Romania, and Hungary getting a little bit of that too. Here. This is supposed to go to Hungary. Ignore that. Alright, that's almost it for Europe. We also have here, but now the Balkans look more messy. Well, over here we have Taiwan becoming the official China, and them getting that. Over here, it doesn't show it on the map because this happened after the war, but since we're doing other things that happened after the war, the Tibetan Declaration of Independence, we have, in South America we have this Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil got a piece, Brazil got a ton of Peru. Up here we have a formation of the Saudi Arabian Union, or Arabia, the Arabian Union. We have Iraq and the ISIS-controlled Iraq and Syria. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say ISIS. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say ISIS on this channel. Okay. And we have a new Kurdistan. Georgia and Azerbaijan get a lot of land from Armenia, Russia, and Iran. Armenia is just eaten up by, the rest is given to Turkey. Kuwait doesn't change, they had no requests in the peace treaty. Vietnam gets Laos, Cambodia, and a piece of China. Manchukuo gets independence. South Korea takes North Korea and a slot of Russia. Japan now owns Sakhalin. We have limits on Russia's military now, forgot to tell you that. American annexation of Cuba, but then they release it and make it a territory, or an independent country, with a capitalist government, or they redid a capitalist nation, or they remade a capitalist society. And I think that is about all for the video.